These are 10 things I've learned after hitting 10 million streams across all 10 platforms. And yes, this is a real DistroKid earnings/streams screenshot. First, let me get some coffee. What's going on, y'all? It's been a while. I haven't been on YouTube for some time. Been taking time away, spending time with the family, focusing on a career pivot, a recent career pivot, and honestly just taking a couple vacations, but I'm back and hopefully better than ever. But enough about that. Let's talk about why you're really here. Now, I've been making music and distributing music for over 13 years, so by no means is this a brag. In fact, I would say 80% of the streams that I've acquired over the last couple years have come from one or two songs, honestly. I have a catalog of over 100 songs distributed through DistroKid, and moreover, some of these songs are just collaborations, meaning that I'm a featured artist as opposed to a main artist. So for those of you who are just starting out, just realize that collaboration can actually help catapult you in the right places, in the right direction, and get you some traction to begin with. On that note, I definitely don't take all credit for my 10 million streams. It's been a community effort, both from the audiences that have listened to my music in the past to the people that I've collaborated with. But these are some things that I've learned along the way. Now, the first one is you'll find that the first few years of your music career, your music hobby, will be spent finding and refining your sound and brand. What I mean by that is over the past 13 years, like I mentioned earlier, I've rebranded like 3 or 4 times. Honestly, I've had different interests in music, whether it was producing Latin pop, Latin trap, hip hop, even pop to a certain degree. If I was more vocally talented, in my opinion, I would certainly pursue other avenues like R&B and maybe even just trying to incorporate different styles of music that I listen to, jazz, so on and so forth, lo-fi, into what I do. But I restrict myself for multiple reasons. I know that I don't have a certain skill set that I've seen other vocalists have. I know my limitations, but with that, I also know that I have to stick to my lane. But that's number one, is it's okay to spend time finding and refining your sound. Number 2, even though this video is technically all about numbers, ironically, don't focus on the numbers. It can get discouraging to begin with. Most artists don't even hit 1,000 plays on their songs, meaning that like you distribute a song, you can't even get more than 1,000 plays on Spotify, let alone any other streaming platform. It's very discouraging to begin with. Don't start there. Focus on your quantity and your quality, meaning that you should put in the reps. You should focus on increasing your quality every single time. You should focus on your collaborations and other avenues that will help eventually get you to the place where you are bringing in 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 streams per song. But the first thing is focus on your sound, focus on your quality, focus on how often you're putting in those reps. Number 3, I would say, is be willing to tiptoe the line of experimenting and feeding your fan base. I've done this multiple times with multiple projects. I know that there are certain people that like certain things that I say, so I still try to stick to my core fan base. But there have been plenty of times where I've experimented with whether it was different sounds, different themes, different types of writing styles, even different types of vocals, meaning that I started out as a rapper and I've kind of dived into singing a little bit, you know, with the help of auto-tune and Melodyne and that sort of thing. So don't be afraid to experiment, to find your voice. Again, going back to that first point, it's crucial for your growth, but also continue to feed your fan base as you go along. Now, before I continue, I want to showcase our sponsor, DistroKid. DistroKid, in my opinion, is the best platform for any artist to distribute their music. My 10 million streams honestly would not be possible without DistroKid. As a younger artist, I knew that I had to distribute more music than I could afford, meaning that at the time, some of the distribution services charged every time I uploaded one single or one project, and those costs added up. I had to pay for studio time or music equipment, video production, so on and so forth. So I knew that I didn't have a lot of play money, right? For me, it was important to find a quality distributor that also allowed me to distribute in greater quantities so that I could establish myself as an artist and have my own brand built up. And luckily, I found out about DistroKid in 2017 and I've never looked back. Now, you can choose different types of plans, you can choose different types of add-ons. Certainly some of those things will add up at the end, but when you're starting out, I definitely recommend you starting out with the bare bones minimum and then working your way. Once you start gaining some traction and you start earning some more money, working your way way into building and adding different features and perhaps upgrading plans so that you have not only the best bang for your buck, but you have availability to the best opportunities out there when it comes to your music distribution, cover licensing, so on and so forth. On top of that, I would definitely recommend you use some of the free tools that are already included in your membership plan to promote your music and give yourself the best head start when it comes to starting your music brand. If you're not already part of the best distribution platform for artists, distrokid.com/VIP/Nico Santana for 7% off your first year's annual membership plan. I would say number 4 is focus on building your unique brand. I see artists do this all the time. They focus on replicating what everybody else is doing, what's working for another artist. And while that's not a bad thing, while you're finding and refining your sound, your brand, I think it's important to understand that you are a unique person, meaning that you have many facets to your personality that can actually help attract different types of people, different types of audiences. So focus on being a unique brand rather than being a copycat artist. It's okay to be you, show your different sides, show your different quirks and interests. We're multifaceted human beings. It's okay to be that in front of an audience. Number 5 is hone in on your skill set. Focus on building your skill set. And I know I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but hindsight 2020, I wish I would have spent money on a vocal coach, perhaps shadowing different producers. I did shadow a sound engineer. He was also technically a producer. I worked in a studio, but if I had spent a little bit more time working on my actual craft, my vocals, I think I would have gotten further ahead. And honestly, even if I didn't, it would have made better music altogether. So focus on your skill set, on growing in that, rather than, focusing on whether or not you're getting clout or that sort of thing. Number 6 is be humble. I can't stress this enough. You're gonna have seasons where you feel like you're on top of the world, and you're gonna have seasons where things are just not working out, and that's okay. The more grounded you are, the more humble you are, the better it will be for your own sake, for your own soul, for your own peace of mind whenever these shifting winds occur. Humility is crucial. Number 7 is understand markets and your own individual competitive advantage. Whenever somebody enters into the business world with a small business idea, they look at the market around them and they understand what they bring to the table that is different than their competitors. It's important to not get into an oversaturated market because honestly, you're setting yourself up for failure. Most of us are not incredibly exceptional at what we do. If you are, then great, you're an outlier. But if you're not, then you have to find a way to get into a market that does have competition, which again proves it to be viable, but at the same time is not oversaturated, so that when you step into it, you're just one of a million, if not more, artists that are stepping into that. For example, if you step into the market today and you try to emulate Drake's pop style rap vocals, or if you're doing trap or something that's playing on the radio over and over and over and over again, why would people listen to you when they can listen to the mainstream version that does it way better? You have to find a unique angle, but ultimately that unique angle, being your competitive advantage, taps you into a smaller audience, perhaps a niche audience with less competition, again proving my point that if there's less saturation, there's a higher likelihood that you'll be able to succeed in that market. Number 8 is understanding that the music industry, music business is riddled with a ton of external factors that you can't control. It's important to know what you do control and what you can control and what you can't. What you can't control are things like how your music is typically consumed, how much you can charge per stream, right? There are certain ways to go around that, meaning if you go direct to consumer and you skip having your music on Spotify, Apple Music, so on and so forth, or even if you have them on there, but you post your music on places like your own website and have different distribution channels that you can control, obviously it increases your ability to control pricing and the way that your music is consumed. There's been plenty of artists that have done this in the past, but if you're sticking to the layman's framework in terms of the music business, know that there are a lot of factors that aren't necessarily working in your favor. And again, this also goes for the way that you promote your music on Instagram, TikTok, so on and so forth. Sometimes the algorithm will pick up your content, sometimes it won't. And your content may be good, and in some cases it may be better than other trending artists or creators, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the algorithm will always pick or favor your content. So just keep that in mind. Don't let it validate you, but more importantly, don't let it invalidate you as a person, as an artist, and as a creative. Number 9 is a tough pill to swallow. This music industry thing, creator industry, is riddled with ego and narcissism. I mean, think about it. You have to promote yourself. You have to promote your music. You're in front of the camera. You're always posting about yourself. You're always posting about your accomplishments, always posting about your music. And this goes for anybody. I mean, I've worked in the Christian music industry, the faith-based music industry, and I've seen it everywhere. It's not biased, or it doesn't necessarily favor one type of genre over the other. It just is what it is. My personal tip, things that I've had to do personally, is find ways to keep yourself grounded. Again, going back to the whole be humble part, and know that you are working against this whole egocentrism and narcissism. So not everyone is rooting for you. Not everyone is there for you. There's a lot of people that are very envious of your accomplishments when you do have accomplishments, or that aren't willing to give you a helping hand in this music industry thing or this creator industry thing. It's just, it is what it is, and you have to be cognizant of that. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to be cynical. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to be negative. It's just an understanding of what you're going into so that you can tackle things better, and so that you yourself can be a lot more grounded when you enter into the space, and have the humility to continue working the way that you should be working, regardless of how other people are working. Last but not least, number 10, not every golden opportunity is a good one. Quick success, overnight virality, etc. seem great when you are desperate, when you're in a position where you're financially strapped, where your mind's not right, where your relationships are breaking around you because you haven't kept up with the people that matter the most. You are spending more than you're earning. You're doing things that are more about chasing fame than actually chasing a long-lasting, sustainable career in the music business. Again, I've been there, so I'm not trying to judge you. I'm not trying to shame you. These are things that I've learned over the last 10 plus years with over 10 million streams. The more stable you are internally, the more stable you are financially, the more stable you are with your group of people, the better it will be for you to be able to understand what opportunities are actually good, what opportunities are actually best, and what opportunities, although they seem like the golden opportunities, are honestly just shams, and you shouldn't pursue those. Now, these are my personal observations. Take it for what you will. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying these are hard-coded, truths that you should abide by, but these are 10 things that I've learned over the past 10 years in having over 10 million streams. Now, if you have more observations than this, let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to have you on my podcast, the Musicpreneur Podcast, if you are a thriving or a starting artist and trying to learn to grow your music business. Check out the channel in the description below. Much love to DistroKid for sponsoring this video, and until next time.